Welcome to the Ear Swap Podcast, episode
17.
17.
Yeah.
I'm never going to know the number of the show.
I just know because I edit them, honestly.
Okay, fair enough.
But 17.
17, this is the first time we've recorded in the new year.
Yeah.
You guys are all firmly in the new year.
Yeah, spoiler alert. We recorded the other one at the end of the year. Sort of,
yeah.
So yeah, this is the first one we've recorded in 2023.
So Happy New Year.
Happy New Year again.
Weeks late, but
yeah.
you know.
But yeah,
it is what it is.
Whatever. So today we're going to be doing some kind of random pick ones almost. You know, we had intention with them, but two kind of polar opposite albums in some ways.
Some ways, yeah.
So we're doing Soundgarden's 1994 album Super Unknown and Manchester Orchestra's album A Black Mile to the Surface from 2017. So we're going to start with my pick, which is Soundgarden Super Unknown.
Super Unknown.
Yes. So as you can imagine, I picked this because I'm a huge Soundgarden fan. I actually have this is the only band I have a tattoo of on my body, which is up on my shoulder.
You can show it.
You cannot see it. Well, I'd have to...
Dude, I mean, we got the camera right here. Okay. Might as well take your clothes off.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
Get past my huggle or whatever.
There we go.
So it's the Bad Motorfinger logo. This was my first tattoo I ever got. And I was like 16. And
all right.
I don't regret it. Sick.
Cool.
So I got that. And this album was the first album I really got into from Soundgarden. I had been a huge Audioslave fan. I grew up on that. So,
remind me the connection. Chris Cornell's an Audioslave. I know that.
Yeah, so Audioslave is your favorite. Rage Against the Machine, basically without Zach De La Rocha. So, Chris Cornell just kind of plopped in there, and they made a new band out of it, like a super group.
Okay.
And they made 3 records.
Super group, but it's just one different person.
Yeah, I think the original intention was, like, they were going to replace him and still do Rage, and then Rick Rubin's the one who got them together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Big producer guy. And it was like, hey, Chris Cornell might be free. And they were like, fucking what?
So it's a boy band?
Yeah, it's a boy band. Audioslave is a boy band. You heard it here first.
Well, when the producer, picks people and puts them together, that's
a boy band.
It's a boy band.
So I remember vividly when I was 14 driving home from eating pho with my dad and my brother. And my brother was playing this record, Super Unknown. He played Fell on Black Days, and I was like, what the fuck is this? I knew it was Chris Cornell, and I really started getting into that
That's
era
funny
of
that you got into the other band first.
Audioslave?
Audioslave,
yeah. I think it's because it was coming out as I was, their first record came out in 2003, or 2002, so I was hearing that when I was 4 years old in my dad's Ford Ranger, whatever. So I always remember that, and then when I got into my teens, I discovered Soundgarden and heard Fell on Black Days for the first time, and it was it just felt like the right timing. And after that, I started delving into this band, and they became one of my favorite bands very, very quickly, and still continue to be one of my favorite bands, especially of the quote grunge era. I think Soundgarden is the best of the grunge bands. I think they push the envelope a bit more than the other ones, personally. I like the way they do things. I like their flavor. I
was going to ask you about genres, because, that's not a band I'd think of when I think grunge, strangely. And even though they're, one of the biggest ones. It's... but obviously I think Nirvana and Pearl Jam, that kind of stuff more.
But it seems more than grunge to me.
It's definitely, it's got some metal influence, I think.
A
Definitely
lot of Black
some
Sabbath,
hard rock.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. So Soundgarden was the first of the Seattle scene to sign to a major label, which was A&M Records. So it kind of everybody else was like, no, we don't do that. We're an indie scene. And then they signed to a major label. Then quickly, everybody was jumping to sign on to a major label. So they signed on to a major label. They went from Sub Pop to A&M Records when they came out with Louder Than Love, and that was their first record they did on a major label.
Okay.
So this is actually their 4th album, full-length album that they had. They'd been a band for 10 years by the time they made Super Unknown.
Wow.
So they'd been a band for a while. And yeah, so my question is for you, Shane. What did you think of it?
I think it's pretty good.
You think it's pretty good?
I think it's pretty good, yeah.
So how did it compare? So hearing this in comparison to Chris Cornell's Higher Truth album from
this is much better, I think.
See, that's why That's why I was like, this is like the Chris Cornell people really love. And
even with this being better, it took me a while to get used to his voice.
Yeah.
The vocals in this, just of the style, like, I don't know. It just, at first few listens, I was just like, he just sings like a hair rock guy, like a hair band.
Yeah.
Sings like freaking Axl Rose. And I don't think that's true on all songs, but especially like the first 2 songs on this record, Let Me Drown in My Wave. Like, I felt, even after multiple listens, those 2 weren't my favorite.
Well,
and it really wasn't until it hit Fell on Black Days that I was like, oh, okay.
And that's
I'm getting. I think it's the guitar playing in that song. Honestly, that gets me. And
it's in 6/8 time, so it's in a different time signature.
First 2 just didn't resonate with me like at all.
But, really?
Yeah.
My wave's in 5. It switches from 5/4 to 4/4 in that song, which is cool. Let Me Drown, I think, is a wonderful album opener. It just hits super hard. Again, I think every song in this album is great.
You do.
But, Fell on Black Days, like I said, that was one that caught me, too. And it's funny you say, like, the hair metal thing, because their first, like, Louder Than Love and the Ultra Mega OK, he sings higher. So
really?
He sings like
even more
like a hair metal guy. Like those records are different. So when they got to Bad Motorfinger, made Rusty Cage and Jesus Christ Pose, all that shit, his voice kind of went down, and this is like an evolution of that, even more so. So this one I always think is like the epitome of Soundgarden to me, like where they had evolved a lot. And I love their album after this, Down on the Upside, as well. But I figured you'd like it a lot more than Chris Cornell's Higher Truth album.
For sure. Yeah, I think so.
So, I mean, they made this record in a totally different way too. So, Bad Motorfinger and all, Louder Love, all these like heavily toured songs. So that was like a lot of what they were doing at that time. When they got to Super Unknown, they had actually started to write in the studio, which is a totally different ballpark than writing and getting that live chaos sort of thing. So when they got in the studio, they actually recorded each song one at a time. So instead of like laying down all the drums for all the tracks, they did it drums, bass, and just built each track each time they went to the studio, instead of, typically you do all your drum tracks, and then you do all your bass tracks, and then you do all your guitar tracks. They did it one by one and built each song up from the ground as they went. So that was different for them, and just trying out different song ideas. They're also very, very well known for their alternate tunings of guitar.
Could see that.
So they do, like, Day I Tried to Live and My Wave are an E-E-B-B-B-B tuning as the tuning.
Why?
Which sounds cool. If you get those tunings, they do sound super cool. And then Head Down and Half both use the tuning, which I fucking love. It's CGC-GGE is the tuning. So super crazy, and they're a lot of fun to mess around with, and just kind of your regular drop D. Fell on Black Days is in standard.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty cool, and they fuck around with time signatures, and they never intend to. It always happens. Like
they accidentally do.
Yeah, they've always been like, I guess. Like Limo Wreck is played in 15/8.
Yeah.
Which is a really crazy time signature. So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff on this record. I think the difference in sound from Bad Motorfinger to Super Unknown is hefty for my listen, and it was only 2 years apart.
Are there any songs off that previous album that I would recognize?
Rusty Cage, Outshined.
That sounds familiar, but I don't know.
Jesus Christ Pose, Searching with My Good Eye Closed. Slaves and Bulldozers, that song rips. Here, I'll play you Outshine, so you can kind of hear the difference. I can even play you an early Soundgarden song as well, but here's Outshined. Hopefully ad free. So this is Outshined.
I've heard that before.
Okay, so it's like that heavy kind of classic grunge thing. But if you go to their album before that, which is Louder Than Love, which is super cool, they have just an absolutely hair metal sound to them. So if you hear it, it's super hair metal. And wait till you hear Chris Cornell's voice. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like this is such a huge evolution from that era. and having been a band for 10 years and toured a lot and like kind of made a couple records at that point, I really liked it. I love their next record, Down on the Upside Now. Almost picked it as your first listen, but I think Super Unknown is overall just a good batch of songs. Like, I look at the song list and I think everything is good. Like, I think it's a very well put together record. My favorite song on here is like Suicide, the very last song on the album. If you She Likes Surprises.
I didn't listen to She Likes Surprises, so
it's short. So it's bonus track anyways. So like Suicide, I think is one of their best songs they ever made.
Yeah, I don't know if I've just heard it too much, but Black Hole Sun, I just don't care about that song.
It's probably
I've just heard it.
It's heard it too much.
But even
the same way.
I don't know. It doesn't seem like it has as much going on as the rest of the record. I think it doesn't do as many things that I'm like, oh, that's interesting when I'm listening to it. It's just kind of the same throughout.
So I felt the same way about that song, but I just watched an hour-long video with Michael Beinhorn, who produced this record, dissecting Black Hole Sun. I thought the fucking video was going to be out the whole record, but everybody wants to dissect that song. For good reason, I think. And it is a really fascinating song, how they recorded it, came up with it. Because at the time, Soundgarden you heard the other shit. They never made anything like that. And it's a very dark-themed sort of song to
whole album
be a hit.
Yeah.
It is a dark album, for the most part. And I feel the same way I feel fatigued with like Spoon Man. Like Spoon Man's the one I'm like, I could do without that song on the record.
Really, I love Spoon Man, but I
think it's great.
I had probably only heard it like twice before doing this. So
because they had the actual Spoon guy from Seattle fucking do the thing.
Yeah.
There's actually video of that. I'll put a link in the description.
That's the
him
funniest part of that song is the spoons.
Yeah.
It's just like, because that song's totally about heroin, right?
He says it's supposed to be about the Spoon Man.
Sure, it's about heroin. He said it's about somebody he made up, too. Yeah. Is what I was reading. So, no, it's about heroin. But then just putting in just... like, it's just like... When I heard that, I started laughing. Yeah. It's like very dumb, but also like, yeah.
I watched an interview from '94 when this came out on MTV where they're like, yeah, most people put all these weird things on a rock record. Nobody's tried to put spoons on one, so we just decided to hit him up and just get artist the Spoon Man to come in and do it. And there's video of him recording the track on YouTube, actually.
That's very funny. Yeah.
It's pretty cool. But that's the only song I feel like fatigued on. Like Black Hole Sun, I've grown to re-love, but like track 7 and 8, Black Hole Sun, Spoon Man, I usually skip. I love Head Down. Head Down, I think, is one of the cooler ones.
Super Unknown's really cool, too.
Super Unknown's very cool as well.
Let's talk about Mailman.
Mailman, heavy.
Mailman, real heavy, real kind of fucking dark. Because he's like, the song's
killing your boss.
Killing your boss. And do you know why they chose Mailman for that?
Why is that?
The postal killings. Have you ever looked into the postal killings?
Oh, no.
They're like these... Between the like 80s and 90s, I think even into the 2000s, postal workers were shooting up post offices.
Oh my god!
Yeah, postal killings.
That's wild. Okay,
going postal. That's what that's from.
Oh,
wow. Oh yeah, that happened in Australia, Canada, United States, Iran. Interesting.
Holy shit!
That was this last year.
Oh,
damn. But yeah, if you go to the Wikipedia page. I don't really want to turn my camera, but it's just like a list of
postal.
Yeah, from killings. The first one in the U.S. was 1970.
Wow.
So,
yeah, that's a wild one. Mailman's a heavy song.
It's a heavy song. Also, with the amount of cowbell that's in that song, it should be called Milkman.
You had that one locked and loaded. That was a good one.
But I really like that song.
Yeah.
That was another one that like it just felt different to me. So
yeah, because
I like the heavier stuff. I think Limo Wreck's pretty heavy too.
4th of July, but
4th of July, yeah. When that down-tuned song.
Yeah.
Like, what's the tuning for that one?
It's crazy. The tuning on that one is gonna be where can I find it? Because there's a good Premier Guitar rig rundown of Soundgarden from like 2014 or 15 or something, and they have a list of their tech with all their tunings, and it's fucking crazy.
That's
like,
crazy.
I think they do. It's like CFCGBE. So F. They have it tuned from A to F, which is going to be 2 whole steps down from an A.
Well, the C's would just be like 2 steps down, right?
C would be two steps down. So the F's 2 steps down.
2 steps down again.
Yeah. So that's the heavy.
The F is 3 steps down.
I think so.
2 steps? No. I don't know. I'm not good with letters.
Because it'd be A sharp. It'd be G sharp, G, F sharp, F. Yeah, that'd be 4 frets, so that'd be 2 steps.
Okay.
So they're all 2 steps because E to C is, that's also 2 steps. So they're both 2 steps down. Yeah. Music talk. But, so that one's heavy, and that one's just so, like, doom, doom, doom. It's like doomy. Yeah. I love how doomy that song is.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much if the heavier the song on this album, the more I liked it.
Yeah.
So.
And the heavy stuff's definitely like Kim Thile, their lead guitar player. He's really into heavy shit.
Okay.
So he's like that's where like there were creative differences towards the end of the band too.
Yeah. Yeah, I was reading stuff about him and I was like, who's this Kim chick?
Who's this Kim with the beard?
I honestly wasn't really digging Half that much.
That one's a weird one.
It was cool that they did something like that, did something super different. It just, it felt kind of out of place to me, honestly.
It's a really weird song that Ben Shepherd wrote, who's the bass player. And it's like this child voice. And Ben Shepherd's doing that, which is crazy. So what they did on this album for all the distorted vocal is Ben Shepherd had brought in an old Sun tube PA system, and they mic'd up the PA system to do any distorted vocal, which is really cool. And then Black Hole Sun is notoriously known for the Leslie speaker sound on the chorus, with the lead guitar part. And Michael Beinhorn was like super particular about sound. And I think it comes out a lot in this record. I think they got a lot of fantastic guitar tones.
The drum tones.
Drums are
sick.
great.
Especially, I can't remember, it's within like the first 4 songs, but like the snare, it's got that real like resonant sound to it that I'm a sucker for that.
Yeah, so he talked about like how when he mic'd up drums, he wanted to be able to hear like the rattle of the snare that you hear when you're actually like hearing the drums. And it comes out and the drums are so lively, and he didn't throw a bunch of compression or anything on them. He just mic'd them really fucking well, so they're dynamic. They're bombastic. They have like a thing that really brings this record
This
together.
is a very well produced record.
100%. So one of the engineers was Adam Kasper, who ended up doing Foo Fighters, Nothing Left to Lose, and he actually won a Grammy for that album. He produced that record, but he also produced Soundgarden's next album, Down on the Upside. Adam Kasper is also a fantastic engineer and producer. He's done a bunch of stuff. And then Brendan O'Brien is the guy who mixed this album, who recorded Higher Truth by Chris Cornell, and he's also recorded some Pearl Jam albums. So there's kind of like a lot of people who engineered, mixed, worked on this record that later worked with these bands and these artists in whatever respective way. So I really love the way this album's recorded. I think it's one of the best recorded albums of the 90s, and I think it doesn't sound dated to me. I think they did a great job with guitar tones, bass as well. But bass in Soundgarden is like, it's such a like, it's supposed to sit under everything. It's never supposed to stand out.
Yeah.
The bass has like never been a standout instrument in Soundgarden. Maybe besides Day I Tried to Live, which has that bass riff in it.
Yeah, it's still not like...
It's mainly guitar.
It's not like leading the song.
No. And Ben Shepherd's bass playing, if you hear isolated tracks, is dog shit.
Okay.
But it sounds great. And I'm sorry, Ben Shepherd, if you're watching.
No, man, you made a bunch of money off being dog shit at bass. So
dude,
I don't feel bad.
I really like his bass playing because he will never change his bass strings unless he breaks them from throwing his bass in the air like he used to never do it. He had his guitar tech literally have to cut cowhide so he could hold it as low as he could for straps. And there's a great video, I'm also going to link this, of them playing Jesus Christ Pose, I think at Pink Pop in 92. And he's just like bass down to his fucking ankles. It's like, it's so hilarious and so good. So this band is great. I bought this Soundgarden vinyl when they did the 20th anniversary in 2014. So I've had this vinyl for a long time.
Also, that cover has aged. That's very 94.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks 90s as hell.
And I think they actually...
It's like upside down trees on the bottom.
It's an upside down forest. So they said a lot of the themes of this record was like obviously Life and Death, which actually goes very well with the Manchester Orchestra record, which I found that bizarre how these managed to collide like that. But a lot of it is about life, even though like you have a song in here called Like Suicide.
Like Suicide.
Which is kind of a crazy comparison, but Like Suicide is a really, really good lyrically powerful song for me personally. And The Day I Tried to Live, I think there's a lot of talks of like depression and just not wanting to get the fuck out of bed because you're just like, I don't want to do anything. Yes. Because you physically can't. And I think that's a really cool way. And there's also like a lot of good themes of like, let me drown, being like, just let me drown in whatever I gotta do to stay alive. You know, like there's like certain things that I thought were really cool. Chris Cornell's always had some like pretty dark lyrical themes, you know, and a lot of his music, but I've really always enjoyed them. So,
did you read about what 4th of July is about and the inspiration for that?
No, enlighten me.
He said, one time I was on acid and there were voices 10 feet behind my head. The whole time I'd be walking, they'd be talking behind me. It actually made me feel good because it felt like I was with some people. At one point I was looking back and I saw that one person was wearing black shirt and jeans, and the other person was wearing a red shirt. So it's just like, the ramblings of somebody on acid.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, what?
Yeah. I think, you know, this album's 70 minutes, but I don't think it ever felt like it was that long to me.
No, it goes fast.
It goes fast. I'm sure it was a better listen for you than the Chili Peppers, which was about the same time.
Yeah, this one didn't seem that long.
Yeah,
at all.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a good track listing. They spice it up a lot. Like you kind of just don't know what's coming next, which is cool. You know, they have short songs like Kickstand's only 1:34, and it's just kind of like a rocker. Fresh Tendrils a really cool one. But I think Like Suicide is definitely Soundgarden's best album closer they had in their career.
Okay.
And there's a really good acoustic demo out there, too, that he did. So part of the 2014 deluxe edition, they did massive releases of B-sides and alternate mixes and all this crazy shit, which I think I have a CD of up there somewhere. But I bought the vinyl. So it's a 200-gram vinyl. And
dang,
I bought all these up when they re-released a lot of them, like I have Down the Upside Ladder and Love and stuff. So
I only listened to the vinyl when you were at my house. The rest of the time I wasn't home when I was listening to this.
Yeah, but it sounds good. Had it for a long time.
It's a heavy boy.
400 grams in there, plus the booklet. So yeah, I'd obviously give this album a fucking 10 out of 10 for me. Shane, what do you think?
What kind of score are we doing?
I mean, we just do numbers.
Okay.
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 Hey, listen, I had to edit pictures of fucking Morrissey with no shirt on today. Because
you had to do that.
I had to do that.
You had to do that.
I had to do that. So
did you like the Lego Morrissey I sent you?
Yeah, you did.
Or I don't know if
the
that's
Lego.
Morrissey. The Lego
Smith's
Hat Full of Hollow.
Hat Full of Hollow, yeah.
That was good.
That was good.
I'm going to give this a 7.5.
7.5. You know, right on. Yeah. That's
it's pretty good. Still don't know if Soundgarden's like my cup of tea fully. They're like really close to being something I'm really, really into.
Yeah.
But not quite.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get it. It's cool.
But you get what I mean, where I think like they stand out more out of the like big four grunge bands that everybody talking, Alice in Chains and all that shit. I think they're one of the best. And I was very, very fortunate, lucky enough to see them live back in 2017, 3 days before Chris Cornell
died.
Before
you killed Chris Cornell.
Yeah. And they were fucking impeccable. They were so good.
That's good to hear. They've been around that long and like still.
Oh my god,
still performing well.
Fucking cloud nine. I was like, they played like not just hits. They played like shit from early set or like from their early career to like now.
That's cool.
Dillinger Escape Plan was a killer opener.
That's such a weird opener.
Fucking crazy. It was an awesome show. And,
I'm kind of surprised you're into Dillinger, but
when I seen them live, I was into them.
Yeah,
they were fucking really good. Like amazing.
Usually you don't like mathcore stuff.
No, and they were like proggy, like math stuff, but they were really good. The Gen Xers were not down. I remember there was a guy, I think 2017, I would have been 19. Yeah, I would have been 19, and I was like standing there, and there's like guys who are like 21 or 24, just like standing up watching Dillinger, just like, yeah, and like everybody else was sitting down.
Yeah.
You know, and it was still like daylight. And
I wouldn't have picked them to open for Soundgarden.
But it was dope.
Very cool.
There was also a tour in 2014 when they kind of like, because they broke up in 97 and then got back together in 2011.
Yeah.
And then they made another record, King Animal, which is also very good. But they did a tour with Death Grips and Nine Inch Nails.
I would love to see that show.
My dad and I almost went, and then we weren't able to for whatever reason. I kicked myself in the ass for that, but I think Death Grips ended up dropping that tour because that fucking band is, you never know what you're going to get with them.
Going to do.
So it was like Death Grips, Soundgarden, and Nine Inch Nails, and I was like, that's a fucking crazy bill.
That'd be so loud.
That'd be so loud and so good. So yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Honestly, I figured it would. I didn't
know I was going to.
And I figured you would like this one because it does have some heavier songs, like doomy songs, like kind of that slow shit.
Super down-tuned stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to make it right when it came to the Chris Cornell Higher Truth album, which is this is a polar opposite, like
very different
kind of vibe entirely. So I'm glad you enjoyed it. So
sure.
Let's move on to the old Manchester Orchestra.
Yes. Before we do that, did you see Nadia's comment on our YouTube video about Fontaine's DC touring?
Yeah, and they'll be opening for
the Arctic Monkeys.
I don't want to see the Arctic Monkeys.
I'll go see them. I don't care.
Depends on how much those fucking tickets are.
That's true. I don't really want to pay Arctic Monkeys prices for Fontaine's DC.
Exactly.
But also, they don't tour the U.S. very much, so if I can make it work, I'm gonna try to go to that.
I would love to go with you if the tickets aren't. Ticketmaster has been the worst this year. So.
Fuck Ticketmaster.
Yeah, fuck. This is a fuck Ticketmaster podcast.
Unless they want to sponsor us.
Unless they want to give us free tickets. No, I'm just going to sell out to Ticketmaster. But you know what's funny is I bet most people are like, I don't want to see Fontaine's DC. I want to see the Arctic.
Most people are like, who's Fontaine's DC?
Dude, I would love to see them. They're playing in Texas, from what I see and hear.
Yes. I believe is Austin or Fort Worth closer?
Fort Worth, because that's Dallas.
Yeah.
So we'll have to do it. We've never been to a concert together, have we?
Just local stuff.
Just local stuff, and that doesn't count. It counts.
Holy.
What's local stuff have we been to together?
I guess you were playing all those shows.
So. I was gonna say, I don't think we've ever went.
No,
I've seen Junior Retreat at Wave. Yeah. I think that was the first.
They're
show.
like $106 tickets, so that's probably not going to happen.
That's not terrible, but it's not great. You know what I mean? So you got to drive down there.
Of course. I was like, Red Rocks, and it's like they're both sold out both days.
Oh, Red Rocks would have been cool.
I'd love to go to Red Rocks.
I fucking hate that drive though. Kansas to Colorado. God, that's the worst. Yeah, that would have been cool. Yeah, we've never been to a concert. You know, and then fun fact, I almost went to the Manchester Orchestra concert with you.
You almost did that. And you almost went to the Me Without You show. You just like bail all the time. No, you never get to the point where you're committed. You don't.
You asked me last minute, both times.
Well, yeah.
I regret this one, and I regret Me Without You. Me Without You probably more so because that band is very fucking good, and they're done. So it's
also, their live performance was like another thing entirely. So hopefully they release their final shows on like Blu-ray or something because they haven't recorded. But I didn't pay for the live stream for those. But
yeah,
if they release them, I'll have you over. We'll pretend like we're at the show.
Okay, we'll stand there for a long time in front of the TV. All sweaty and regret wearing the jacket inside.
Yeah, we'll have to crank up the heat to make it like feel like it.
Yeah,
and, we'll have Caitlin come in and just like throw beer at us.
Just throw beer at us. And yeah. No, I always hate that about concerts. It's like I'm like, do I bring the jacket or do I not bring the jacket? Especially if it's general admission. I always have that debate, and then most of the time I'm like, I'm not going to bring the jacket because I'd rather be too cold when I leave the venue than to be hot during the whole fucking show. It happened to me at Nick Cave in the Bad Seeds. I wore my leather jacket.
Ooh.
Whole time.
Bad call.
Whole time. I got through it.
Take it off. Tie it around your waist.
It's like a thick boy. Yeah. Well, and I was in D.C. and all, like my whole life was in that leather jacket, which was my wallet. So I was like, I can't.
Yeah.
But it was fine. It was fine. Anyways, Manchester Orchestra, a Black Mile to the Surface.
Yes.
So why did you pick this one for me?
This is a pretty important album to me.
Okay.
So my wife and her my father-in-law, I guess I could say.
No.
This is the band we went to see when I proposed, but also they're just like huge fans, and I liked them a little bit, but they got me really into them.
Yeah.
And we had 2 Manchester Orchestra songs played at my wedding.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
And
the main one is not on this record, though. So, but I think this is my favorite of Manchester Orchestra's albums. So.
Yeah. I missed your proposal by not going to this concert.
Yes. Yep.
And I had no idea you were proposing. You didn't tell anybody. But
I kept it pretty.
Yeah, that was good. Good job.
Played that one pretty close.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. So this album is kind of a concept album.
Sort of. Yeah, there's I'd say the middle bulk of it is a concept album, and then it's got like random songs on either end.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. Like it's funny because there's 10 songs with the first word "the," and then one song, track 4, which is Lead, South Dakota.
Lead, South Dakota.
And so I watched the concert film of them playing this album in its entirety.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Yeah. So that came out last year. It's very, very good.
Okay.
So they play this whole album front to back. And I really fucking love this album.
Nice.
Absolutely love this
very
album.
Good.
It made me want to cry a lot.
It's really sad at times.
Yeah, it made me want to cry a lot. So we listened to the Gold cover by Phoebe Bridgers before we filmed here. Before. And it made me want to cry. Man, like I was listening to it.
It's really good.
You were just like dead silent.
I hadn't really listened to it. I don't really know why. I don't really listen to Phoebe Bridgers that much. I'm always like, oh yeah, she's pretty good, and then I just never listen to her.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
don't listen to her. I know a lot of people that do.
I do know a lot of people that do. I still think it's kind of strange, just from what I've heard, that she's gotten to the level she's gotten to of popularity.
Right.
Like, I don't know. It's just not what I would have guessed.
Like guessed to be that popular, basically?
Like, I think she'd be extremely popular in, like, certain circles. But she's gotten, like, really mainstream, widespread success, which is great. I'm glad. But I'm also glad that there's just, like, good music that's becoming super popular. So that always makes me happy. But.
Yeah, for sure. So this album really caught me. The Gold was the song. I mean, first of all, this album flows impeccably well. Every song was meant to go the way it's supposed to go.
Yes.
And it just, the Gold is the one that got me. Just that chorus melody.
Where it kind of like, yeah. And it like stops like right at the end of each one and then picks back up. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very, very nice. And it's in 3. It's in 3/4, and it's a cool take on 3/4 time. So I really enjoyed that. They have a lot of songs in 3/4 on this record.
Yeah.
I was doing a lot of counting for some reason. I don't know if it's because I was listening to Soundgarden and was like, I need to count.
I never count when I listen to music.
I do sometimes. If something feels weird, I'm like, I need to count that out real quick.
Spoken like a drummer.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, I think I had a hard time picking a favorite song on this album, but the Gold was great. The Wolf is really cool. There's a heavy fucking midsection.
I love the
Wolf.
Wolf.
So
that's
good.
Maybe my favorite.
Yeah, those two are like
I don't know.
My two. I was like
either that one or the Alien for me.
The Alien's
like
cool.
Those two.
Every time I listened to it, it had that right panned like tick, and I was like, "What the fuck is that?" Every time I listen to this record,
for sure.
And I listened to it on vinyl. I listened to it in my car, and I also watched that film today. And that film was
they're
beautiful.
Damn good live.
And they sounded good in that film.
They sound impeccable live. Like they sound just like the recording. It's crazy.
So did they play a lot from this album when you seen them?
Yeah, they played a lot of songs, I feel like. They obviously had some more from their newer one, but I'm pretty sure they played The Gold, The Wolf, Alien. I feel like they played The Silence at the end.
Oh, so, that's cool.
Which is a great closer. So yeah, they played a lot, and I mean they played some of their early stuff too. Because you said Soundgarden had been a band for 10 years.
Yeah.
Manchester Orchestra had been a band for 13 years when they released this.
Wow.
Song. So technically they were the older band at the time.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, and dude, it's fucking hard to be a band that long.
Too, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like,
and
it's hard to keep a band together, and And good for them. You know, I don't know if they've maintained the same personnel, but
they've had a few changes. Most of the changes were like 2011, and then it's mostly been the same. They got a new bass player since then.
Okay.
But and then they apparently had a keyboard piano player and backing vocals that dropped out after that.
Okay.
So like right before they made this record.
Yeah.
So.
It's a well recorded record.
Mm-hmm.
It's very got great guitar tones, great the drum sounds great. Piano sounds, everything is very clear. I had a great time listening to this from the moment I put it on.
It's very clean sound to it too.
Yeah,
which
super clean.
A lot of times I've found with recordings, like the recording can be really clean, then you see them live and it's a lot more rough.
Yeah.
Not this band. It sounds that clean that live as well.
Yeah, so. that concert film, which I'll link in the description, is very good. Because their guitars are slightly overdriven, but they're not, because they're not clean. It's like a push tube amp, or like they're using like I hate fucking transparent overdrives, but it's just they have something of that nature, kind of pushing those guitars, and they sound so good. You know, like the guitar tone on this record is top notch.
It's super present, but they don't overdo it.
No,
at all.
No.
So yeah, I think it's a balanced record. Everything sounds just like in perfect balance throughout.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and there is a lot of themes of life and death. Andy Hall, the lead vocalist and guitar player, was apparently having a kid kind of in the middle of this.
So that's what The Maze is about. Is it's a song that he wrote from his baby daughter's perspective, looking at him. So,
okay.
Or at least part of it. I think it switches a little bit, but
yeah. Wow.
So that's one of them that kind of doesn't fit in with like the story of it. That one, and I'd say the parts and the silence don't really. Those are more about like his daughter and his wife and what he was going through at the time. The rest of the album, Lead, South Dakota, is where it takes place.
Yeah.
Which is a former gold mining town, and the gold mines got converted into this research facility, Sanford Underground Research Facility. It's a real thing. Where they do experiments in like dark matter and neutrinos, which I don't understand at all.
Oh my God.
Which that's kind of where like a lot of the themes come from, is like neutrinos. As far as I know, like kind of like are responsible for like existence. Like, I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, science people. I'm not a science person.
How many science people we got watching?
Here, let me look up neutrino. Okay, is a fermion that interacts only via the weak interaction and gravity.
What's a fermion?
I don't know.
We're just going to keep diving into what the fuck.
The neutrino is so named because it's electrically neutral and because its rest mass is so small.
Okay.
What is a neutrino?
I mean,
neutrinos for it's a subatomic particle that is very similar to an electron but has no electrical charge. Wow. Why is that important? I don't know why it's important. Higgs boson stuff. I don't know. It's like all that kind of junk. I don't understand it. But okay, Lead, South Dakota. So the gold is from the perspective of a woman whose husband is a gold miner, and it's the strain on their relationship from like he became a miner to provide for his family, but then he can't be with his family. And so his like provision is what's like what he has to do for his family is driving him away from him.
Right.
And it's like, it's very sad. Like, and then it kind of follows him. I think the moth is the same character, like him going off on his own after the family falls apart.
Yeah.
So then obviously Lead, South Dakota kind of ties in a bunch of the other songs. It's got themes from a bunch of songs. They talk about the grocery a lot. Did you pick up what was happening at the grocery?
No. I heard it a lot. But.
So this album has 2 attempted suicides in it, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But the song The Grocery sounds pretty. It sounds happy.
Yeah.
It's about a guy shooting up a grocery store.
Holy fuck.
Yeah. And then The Alien, that's about a deformed guy who doesn't have ears, and he tries to kill himself by driving into traffic.
Holy shit.
And then you like, he thought he was born that way or whatever, and then you find out his like drunk dad cut his ears off.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, like when he was a baby. Oh so, heavy stuff in this album. Lots of life and death, but like...
Yeah.
Yeah, he drove into traffic and then like survived and like killed people. Like that's like what that song's about.
Well, and it's like a really, because he talked about like a lot of the albums about the circle of life and death. Yeah. So you have like I'm sure that was a wild perspective where he's having like his daughter be born.
Yeah.
And then like having these themes of like people doing really tragic things and ending up in these positions that make them want to either commit suicide or injure others or hurt others, you know? That's wild. That is really wild.
Some people are saying the grocery and the alien are from the same person's perspective, maybe.
Oh, okay. I liked how well everything like tracks, you know, like from the alien on, like they all go so fucking well together. They just flow
directly in.
Right into each other, which is really cool. I really love this album. I didn't know what the fuck this band was about, but I feel like have you ever shown me Manchester Orchestra?
We've played them when you're at the house before.
I know you've played them. I didn't know if you've ever...
I don't think I had like
watched a video, because I watched that concert film and I was like, I feel like I've seen this. Maybe it was deja vu. Maybe it was a dream.
I don't think I've seen that. So
well, it's very good and they sound very good in it. So highly recommend that. If you want to watch it.
So did you ever see the movie Swiss Army Man?
I didn't, but I would like to see it.
It's great. Andy Hull and Robert McDowell did the soundtrack to that.
Oh, awesome.
And they did the whole thing a cappella, which normally I fucking hate a cappella music. Fucking hate it.
You hate the pentatonics?
Yeah, I do hate the pentatonics. Fuck them. But the soundtrack for that is so good. And it's just their voices. They don't do like the annoying a cappella shit.
Yeah.
It's like very well done. But they were doing that like super stripped down, obviously just vocals and just like layering stuff on top of each other.
Yeah.
And with this album, they came up and they were like, we're going to do the opposite and just put as much going on at all times throughout this record that they can.
That's cool.
So it was kind of almost a reaction to that. But Swiss Army Man, excellent movie. Daniel Radcliffe plays a farting corpse. What more could you want?
And it's got
Paul Dano.
Yeah, Paul Dano.
Paul Dano. It's a very good movie. And yeah, the soundtrack is hilarious.
Wow.
There's a Cotton Eye Joe cover on there.
Wow. Acapella. That's wild. Cool.
Yeah.
Now this band, I mean, what would you consider their popularity level? Do you think most people know them, or where do you think they stand on that?
I don't know. Within certain circles, everybody knows them. Like they've been around a long time. Definitely like Me Without You fans, they all know Manchester Orchestra.
Oh, they kind of.
In fact, I think it was when I saw Manchester Orchestra, they had the ticket app messed up and put a Me Without You picture on it. So, or is the other way around? I don't remember which one, but I was like, something's not right here.
Yeah.
So those two, and they toured together for a long time.
Oh, that would have been a cool one.
Yeah. When I saw them, they were like, yeah, last time we were in Oklahoma City, I think we were here with Me Without You, and they were driving that van that ran off vegetable oil or something. They had all these stories about that, and I was like, yeah, that's so cool.
Wow. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
They're a really good band. I really like this record. Like I said, I listen to it and I just want to cry.
It's a sad one, but it's also like, it's not sad in like, I mean, yeah, like I said, it has two suicide attempts.
It's not like Elliott
but it's
Smith
not
sad.
like,
it's
I'm upset and like depressed. It's like thinking about your life. Like it has the line that repeats multiple times where it's like, I've got nothing in this life when I die that I keep. That's like over and over, and it's just like, oh yeah, like sad as in like we're wasting what actually matters in life and like trying to like do better and
it definitely made me feel like I don't know, it made me feel like garnering some perspective on like just where my life has taken me so far. It definitely gave me that like moment of like holy fuck, like I've been through a lot, you know. It made me like kind of go through that, but in a way that's like I've grown from so much, you know. Sure. Like it made me be grateful for like where I'm at now and where I don't have to be anymore, you know. And that was like a good feeling. I don't know, like not necessarily that these things had those themes, but it was like I just had those feelings of like holy fuck, like I'm here in my car eating a croissant listening to this record. I'm grateful, you know.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
Sometimes it takes like pieces of art that show like a really broad perspective of what life is and how it works and like it starts and ends and all that stuff. Yeah. In ways, this reminds me of my favorite book, East of Eden by John Steinbeck, because it has a lot of those themes where it's like, oh, people are born, people die, and like what matters for sure and like seems to matter at times is different. So,
yeah. It's one of those records. It felt good, you know. It feels like a good emotional thing for me personally, you know, just from my experience it felt that way. But
a lot of family stuff too, so right around the holidays. Lots of family trauma in this record. So which I think is reflected by the cover, you know, like a family tree, like with all the lower branches stripped off.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Both records with the trees on
both
the cover, and both records that talk about life and death.
This one also has like a reflection. So that kind of follows. Put them side by side.
Like you got the upside down forest, which I didn't realize until today that was an upside down forest.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
This, like, I heard a cool thing about this record too when it came to life was like, I think Let Me Drown was like about dying or like going back up into the womb and just living a life in there and just let me drown in the womb.
Mommy issues.
Yeah. Yeah, boy. Which I thought was cool. But anyways, yeah, I thought that the themes ended up kind of lining up in some of these circumstances where there were these like kind of particular stories, and there's like Super Unknown had the song Like Suicide, and this has like 2 Suicide Attempt songs in here, and like this is kind of like the Me Without You and Nick Cave record.
I could see that. Yeah,
it was kind of like how those two aligned.
They're kind of mirroring each other, which is cool.
Which is pretty wild. Mm-hmm. That was some universe shit right there. So yeah, well, I'm sure you would rank this. Would you rank this? So this is your favorite record by Manchester Orchestra?
Yeah, it's up there.
Would you say it's like a 10 out of 10 for you?
It's a 9+ out of 10 for
9+ out of 10. I'm gonna give it the same ranking.
Okay,
for sure, because I'm an emotional being. I'll take it.
This is a sad record. Like it really hits you.
It does. It hits me in a way that like makes me face.
It makes you feel good too. At the same time, it's one of those weird ones where it's like, oh, I'm sad, but in a good way. At the time it's over.
Yeah. It is that way. It's not like a sad Sparkle Horse or a sad Mount Erie or a sad, Elliott Smith. It's not in that realm. It's in a realm of like gratefulness and recognizing the things that you've been through and where you're at now. Mm-hmm. And that's what it did for me. And I love shit. I love listening to shit like that more, than the former. So yeah, I'd give it a 9 out of 10 for sure.
A line from the final song, The Silence, which I think that's an excellent closer. It's longer than all the other songs, but it like builds so nicely. Yeah. And then when it finally gets there, but it says, "There's nothing you keep. There's only your reflection."
Oh man.
Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Good stuff. Let's see what the last line of Soundgarden Super Unknown from Like Suicide. Let's see what that one is. It is, "But she died just like suicide."
Dang.
Yeah.
That's a little more just straight up sad. Yeah.
Which apparently that song's about him having to kill a baby bird or like a bird that flew through.
Yeah, flew into his window. I was reading that.
Yeah, he had to
like
kill
a sparrow.
It. Yeah.
Dang.
So, but she died just like suicide.
Have you ever had to kill an animal?
No, I don't. Like an actual like.
Yeah, like looked an animal in the eye and had to kill it.
No, I've never had to kill one. I've watched a lot of animals die though. From,
for fun.
Dogs. Yeah, for fun.
No, I've had to like put animals out of their misery before. Man. Or I guess I didn't have to, but I don't like things suffering. Right. So, I worked for a certain governmental organization that deals with animals and wildlife. And there was times people were like, "Hey, this hawk has a broken wing." And we're like, "There's a shovel out back," is what my boss told me.
Oh man.
And it's not fun because they look at you and you're just like, oh, you know what's coming.
Yeah. Gosh, that's rough, man.
Yeah. And there's like times I've like hit a snake on the road out in the middle of nowhere, like right in the middle, and I'm just like, shit.
I definitely
then I got out and like I took like a sign or something and just popped its.
Oh.
Yeah. Because I just hate the idea of that thing laying there half smushed.
I've hit possums.
Ooh, yep.
I've hit a couple possums. I was mowing and hit a snake.
Ooh, I hit a frog once. I think that's why I don't like frogs.
Oh,
but
they're gushy.
Yeah. Yeah, I obliterated a raccoon on the highway a few years ago.
Those fuckers.
It was fine. I mean, it was quick. That guys. Yeah. It was face to the bumper at like 70 miles an hour. So.
Fucking A. Yeah. Man. What a gnarly way to go out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I've hit probably 3 or 4 possums. I mean, I lived in, the suburbs of Kansas. You're gonna hit them in the middle of the night.
You get a lot of possums down that way.
A lot of them. I've never hit a skunk or a raccoon. The snake one was kind of shitty because I was mowing, literally didn't see it, and it was a snake like this big.
Big boy.
It was a big one,
big
and
snake,
I hit
probably.
it. It was like a Midwestern something snake.
Hognose?
Maybe. I don't know what it was, but I hit it, and it was all fucking squirmy and shit.
Yeah.
I buried it. I felt so bad. I hated that.
Yeah.
I hated that absolutely. I see roadkill on the road, obviously.
Yeah.
And it makes my like spine shiver. Like when I see a dead animal sometimes.
That doesn't bother me. It's the suffering that bothers me.
I mean, the suffering bothers me, but like
because I've helped process like a chicken.
Right.
I've chopped a chicken. That's an interesting experience, especially if you then eat it. Like understanding how that works, I think it's important. This is not ear swap content at all, but
it's content.
Yeah, I think those are important things to
know where your shit comes from.
Kind of, yeah. Know where your shit comes from, but also like gives you an understanding of like death in a different way.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I guess I got that through just like hunting as a child. Like
I never hunted or
teen.
Right.
I did a little bit, not very much.
Yeah,
like
I never
birds only. So
yeah, I never had family that hunted. Really. Maybe I did. No, not really. Like I didn't grow up eating deer all that much, but I have had. I had deer.
I love venison, man.
I had deer chili.
I had antelope, or not. I guess not antelope. It's pronghorn. But had that recently. And it was phenomenal.
It is good.
It was so good.
Deer sausage is also very good.
You got to cook everything right. You got to do it correctly, or it's not good. But
it's gonna be good.
All right, this is not stomach swap. This is ear swap. So I'm glad we had an episodes where we both liked them.
Pleasurable listening experience.
It was a good time.
I enjoyed it a lot.
So what are we doing next week on our mini episode?
We are gonna do the band Hannah Tarash.
Is that how you say it?
Yes, it is. This is a Japanese band called the most dangerous band in the world, and we are gonna do this episode, and it's gonna be so incredibly interesting to delve into. So Shane mentioned them in passing.
Yeah, but I know almost nothing about them. So I know you've been doing research. So.
Yeah, and I found them to be so fascinating. I wanted to do just a little single pick episode. So we're going to do that for the next one.
The first recording they have on their Wikipedia is "Take Back Your Penis."
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that'll be a fun one. So if you've listened to Hannah Tarash, let us know.
If not, you're in for a ride.
You are in for a.
Go check them out. Just go listen to the first thing comes up. Click it. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, absolutely. So, anyways, thank you all for watching this year already. We've got a second episode out this year. So
we have shirts. Buy shirts.
Yep. Buy shirts.
Follow us at Shart Stories Pod. Send us messages. We like when we hear from you, even if you're like yelling at me for not liking your favorite band.
I like how you said Shart Stories and not.
Is this Shart Stories? This is Ear Swap. Ear Swap Pod. Sorry.
But follow Shart Stories Pod.
Follow Shart Stories. It might come back.
There
we don't know. We've talked about it.
Yeah, there might be something coming.
It just hasn't happened yet.
Every episode has been us saying it might come back.
Yeah. It's hard to get guests for that show. People are for some reason don't want to talk about poop in their pants. I don't know.
Wow.
But
well,
yeah, if you pooped your pants ever, just let me know. We'll have you on the show.
Shart Stories as well.
Yeah.
Anyways, so thank you all for watching. We will see y'all next week.
Yep. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Love you. Black hole sun, make me come, fuck me in my ass.
Black hole come.
That's how I always sound on every episode. When I listen to it, that's all I hear is just on black mild of the cervix.
The cervix.
Hey, it's your turn. Post that fart up.
You're just going to make it sound like I think Coolsville sucks.
That's Scooby-Doo, right?
Yeah. Fred. Scooby-Doo 2.
Scooby-Doo 2. Yeah.
Hey, thank you for watching that full episode. If you liked it, we also have ear swap clips, and we also have some ear swap merch. You can see me wearing it. You can get it at earswappod.bandcamp.com. So be sure to check that out. There is a link in the description.
You can look just like this guy.